So there are a couple of them who can't attend it. So I thought I'll share the recording with them. I'll just pause it. I just want to say that this is nothing like I'm teaching something. It's not like a regular seminar. It is just something we've all been practicing, and probably it's just a refreshing, uh, you know, reminder that we should do this more often. So please share your inputs as well. And I was just talking to Malti ma'am that we could do this, and the rest of them here, that we could do this every month, once every month, so that we all share our experiences and share something that will help us all. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Good idea.
So let's begin.
Very good idea.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I request you all to mute, and if there's something you want to add on to or speak, you can please unmute and talk, and if you want to share something or talk about something, please do it. Okay. So when this topic that we discussed, me and Malti ma'am, like mindfulness for professionals, especially for Emma's family, I only had one thing in mind, that I'm sure all of us know so much about the mind and so much about these techniques that we are actually using this in our practice almost every day, or even while in our personal life we use it. So why mindfulness specifically? So I just took a moment, closed my eyes, and I asked myself why I need mindfulness in my life. So currently, the stress that we all have is because there are a lot of added, uh, stressors around us, and there's a lot of uncertainty of future. We all have this mind which is so active, and we are trying to help others, but we often fail to acknowledge that we are also going through some things. So there's always confusion and fatigue. So 2 months back, in the month of May, I had a workload which was like 8 hours a day and continuous. I wasn't stopping because I thought, I need to do something in this hour. I have to help people who need me, who I can make a difference for. And that just made me feel so overworked. So I had a breakdown, and that's when I realized that it's so important to first heal yourself to be able to heal others. So I remember Emma ma'am saying this, that when your hands are full, how would you help others? So look at yourself with a lot of compassion and help yourself too, while you're helping others. Just admitting something. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do today is talk very. I have some. Yeah. Okay. Talk very few basics about the mind and about a lot of techniques that we all could try out while we are counseling or while we are taking the break which we all need. Okay, so self-care I feel is very, very important, and it's like giving the best of you to the world and not just what is left of you. So we all need to practice a little self-care here and there, and especially with our mental abilities. Okay, as we all know, the mind has both the cognitive and the non-cognitive aspects. Very quickly brushing on this, cognitive aspects being more of thinking, skills, language, perception, and we're always wanting to get better at it. So we learn new things, we try out new things, we experience more new things. When it comes to the non-cognitive aspects, which is our emotions and psychology, we do not deal with it very effectively. We ignore our emotions and bottle them up until it becomes very overwhelming and we burst out. There's a saying that what is the mind? That mind is like a drunk monkey which has been stung by a bee. So our mind is always active. And I'm not saying we can stop it, we can stop our thoughts. No, we can't. But we can try to bring it to the present. So mindfulness is all about bringing your mind to the present, to the here and now, and not ruminating about what was or what ifs, but rather what is. So, like I said, the nature of the mind is to be always active, but anything that is too active can destroy its own essence. As mental health professionals, we are also public spirited, and we're such good humanitarians that we have this urge to help others. So we feel that we cannot be vulnerable at a point that people see us as weak. So I had this moment like the 2 months back that I just told you about, that I had this moment when I felt my mind was very weak. Now, I felt guilty about it without realizing that, the compassion that we give it to our clients is also something we need to give to ourselves. And that's when I started discovering more of the self-care, self-love, trying out new things, trying out creative things, and applying the mindfulness concept in everything I'm doing. It doesn't have to be that you have to keep practicing breathing to practice mindfulness, but mindfulness is a concept that you can apply in everything that you do. Uh, so we'll come to that as well. Okay. So this is an analogy that I wanted to talk about, which is very interesting, and there's like a story behind this. So as we all know that firemen get into a building with fire to extinguish the fire. Now, when they get into the building, they shut all the doors and they make sure that they extinguish the fire and there's no spark of fire left before they open the windows again to let out the smoke. Now, why they do this is because any amount of oxygen coming from the atmosphere back in the building, and if there's a spark of fire anywhere, it can ignite the fire again, and there could be a backdraft. So a fireman's nightmare is that there's a backdraft and there's a fire again. So connecting this to our mind, there's a protocol for these tall buildings, compartmentalized buildings, hospitals and everything. You would see a small window like a thing on every wall, which is like a ventilation where they keep letting atmosphere come in and go out. Okay. So when they do that, they have this because they want to avoid a backdraft. Now, connecting this to our mind, we need to have a channelizing ventilation method to let go of our emotions that are bottling up. We can either journal or we can do a lot of exercising, but mindfulness is a concept that can be applied timely. Okay, so from this analogy, if we see, we get an idea that we don't have to always pile up our emotions. We can have a timely ventilation, a way of removing those intense emotion from bottling up, especially when we deal with difficult clients, traumatic clients. They have a lot of pain that sometimes just gets into us. And I remember Salome and I had done a research, and we had presented it in one of the conferences, which was about secondary trauma stress. Now, secondary trauma stress is the stress that the counselor or the therapist gets from the pain of the client. So when we had interviewed about 20 to 25 counselors and therapists, they had to say the same, that this has to be included in our day-to-day life to be able to have a ventilation or to have a coping skill before each session. So a personal example of what I do between sessions, I take about 10 to 15 minutes of break. And in that 10 to 15 minutes of break, I just go near a window where there is a lot of greenery outside the window. I sit there and I try to hear the sounds of nature. It could be a bird chirping, or it could just be the breeze, something that brings my calm back to my mind, and then I can focus more on the next client. So I want to ask all of you here if you can just unmute and tell me, what is that one easy coping skill that you use in your sessions or in between your sessions to have that ventilation? Does anybody want to volunteer to talk?
Can I go first?
Sure, ma'am.
So I think for me, what has worked is one, adequate breaks between sessions and not having them back to back, one after the other, so that there's some breathing and unwinding from one client to the next one. And the other one has been either having a glass of water or just having some deep breathing, which really helps. Which really helps calm and come back to back to a neutral, if I may say so. Once, because you get involved at one level, you're so in the present with the client. Sometimes your emotions are disturbed, or you are a little upset about certain things that you've heard, how much ever you would like to be detached from the person, but you are emotionally rattled with that. So coming back to a neutral space before meeting the next client, a glass of water, a walk around, or just a little breathing has helped me quite a bit.
Wow. So, like you said, your coping skill would be to just drink a glass of water, take a time out, and do a bit of deep breathing and come back to your sessions.
Yes, yes.
And anybody else would like to share?
Yeah, I like to share. I do breathing too. I do some relaxed breathing, watch my breath. I observe my breath and watch my breath and do breathing. This is what helps me and divert my attention. Have a cup of tea or something, and that's it.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Breathing does help us to refocus on the calmer state, because it gives us a sense of liberation from the negative emotions.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to share what they do?
Am I heard?
Yeah. Yes, Randika.
Yeah. For me, when I was counseling at school, what used to happen is, children used to take, it was just after working hours, we have sessions for children. So I worked in a Montessori school. So it will be basically after 1 p.m. So between sessions, children do talk quite a bit. And if they get comfortable with you, they talk a lot. So for me, it was, I always read something that's completely different from what I'm doing. So even reading a paragraph, if I get back and read a particular paragraph or even a page of something else, it helps you to get back, and it doesn't allow you to keep thinking on the same lines. There's a break, like, so you get back to something else, and then another person you're talking to is dealt with a lot more attention. And for me, drinking cold water, I don't know how it truly helps, but that's one thing that I always got to, especially in school where you can't really walk out and take too much time off because you have children waiting in the next turn. So that was a quick thing for me between sessions.
Wonderful. I think that's a good point to note, that even reading something in between can help you reconnect with yourself, and then you get onto the next session.
Manisha, what I used to do also, what I used to do, I will be affected normally the seriousness of the cases sometimes, but I used to think, this is their problem, the client's problem. We are here to help them, first of all. So now that clarity, I used to think. Then automatically, as other participants say, I used to take water or a tea or any relaxation we need to do. But before that, I used to think, this is their problem. We are here to help them. Yeah. So this will give me some kind of a relief. Right. Okay. So this is automatically it's coming nowadays.
Wow, wonderful, ma'am. I mean, yes, we're just skilled helpers, like Emma ma'am would say, and
Yeah.
we're there to help others with their
Yeah.
issues. Uh, but I think I'm a
We
very
can not,
wise.
it's a donkey, we should not carry that along with us. Imam
Yeah.
used to tell.
Yes.
It's like their problem is like a donkey. We should not carry over, our soldiers. So this gives us some clarity. No, initially I do have had some kind of problems trying to face. No, digestion of the cases itself is a problem. Now it's okay. No? Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am,
Thanks, Manisa. You can continue.
sure, ma'am. There was a little break in your voice, so but I get like you're trying to say that um, we need to not have the counter transference, and we need to distance ourselves from the client and see their problem as their problem, although we are being helpful in their issue, and then we are actually getting into their experience and help them. Yes, that's very right, ma'am. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? I see Malti ma'am and others have just joined in. Ma'am, do you want?
Yeah, for me, actually, when I was working as an academic coordinator, where I would have, though parent counseling was a part of my job. So for me, I used to coordinate with a lot of special educators and then run basically coordinating between different departments. So there will be too much on the head. And like how ma'am said, like it's like I mean, I do have, somehow developed that not to carry that over rather than, at that time I'm a professional, so let me deal with the situation as to where it has to. But there are times where, despite of that, also beyond our limits, being humans, we tend to exhibit our emotions and we do get stressed. So at that time, I would just take a time out in my own place and just remain calm, just be mum and be quiet and just to cool myself. So it is like that. So once it is over, after the working hours are over, probably the evening, I would probably speak up to a therapist or where, because I just need answers for that to vent out, and also to analyze myself, to self basically to reflect on my own, like where, just to be neutral, some time to think, so that it's easy for me to be prepared for the next day. So
Very well said, ma'am. Thank you. Yes,
Yes.
actually, somebody wanted to speak.
No, no, Manisha, go on, madam.
Okay, hi, ma'am.
Hi. Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. So I would like to say that mindfulness is it's a kind of lifestyle. It's a kind of way of living rather than just an escape or a refreshing therapy technique. Mindfulness is something that you can apply in every single moment of your life. Uh, like we say, like we all know, that our mind is always either in the past or in the future. It's very difficult for us to just bring the focus to the present. And time is not the issue here. It's just our attitude towards ourselves, our self-care. uh, like how I shared that I felt guilty of having a weak mind. I'm sure all of y'all must have had one moment in your life where you felt, oh my God, how can I, being a psychologist, or how can I, being a therapist, feel low about myself or have a weak mind? I want to say it's okay to not be okay, right? We often tell it to others, but reiterating it to ourselves is also important. So moving on. Okay.
Manisha,
Yes, ma'am.
no, I thought I'll talk after Sudha.
Sure, ma'am. Please do.
Yeah. I think during the closure of the session, by the time I can bring that separation by asking the client the question, how she's feeling, he is feeling, about the session or what they're carrying when they leave the sessions. No, at that time there is closure where I myself and the client or the family can actually have a boundary where I become the counselor and the client. There is a separation there itself. So uh, when the client openly talks about the session, then we get a wholesome impact of the session. So after I finish, I do stretch, do all that, but I come back home, do all the other activities, and take some time actually to sit down and just write a few things about the session, reflect on it, and for the next session, I'll do a little bit of preparation, and that's how I actually feel that is the way of me closing the whole thing before starting the next session for the client.
Yeah.
So for me to actually reflect on my own session, coming back to home after once we come home, it's like it's only chaos at home. No, usually the kids come and we have to do certain things. So at that time, whatever I have to relax in the clinic, I do, but still to bring out again the session and just sit down for a few minutes and then writing down has helped me.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. So coming back to the mindfulness concept is, there is this acronym called BEST, which means body, emotion, sensation, and thoughts. So the place where I did my mindfulness training, they would say that often what is there is on our mind, we store it either as body, emotions, sensations, or as thoughts. Like, just imagine that as to be platforms. So there are 4 platforms in the station that you are, which is body, emotion, sensation, and thoughts. So every time you get an experience, the train that you are traveling in stops in either of these 4 platforms. So sometimes when you are unwittingly or unprepared for stopping at one platform, your mind is not working your best because you are overwhelmed with either bodily behaviors or emotions and feelings or sensations through your 5 senses or your thoughts. So we get so drifted towards these 4 platforms without realizing the train has to take off again from there. That is when the concept of mindfulness comes in. If you can see this picture, you'll see that there's a adult and there's a child who have gone to the garden, and the adult has a lot of things on his mind while the child is only seeing the nature. Now, are we mindful or mindful? And this is something I'm sure we've all experienced, that in our daily routine, professional and personal life, we always have a lot of things on our mind. While we try hard to just stop overthinking, it is still there on our mind. That is when the concept of mindfulness becomes more available if we practice, practice, and practice. So the concept of mindfulness is only 1% theory, while the rest of the 99% is practice. So when we practice mindfulness, it becomes more of a way of living, of being in the here and being in the now. Okay, so I will be teaching a few mindfulness techniques here that you can do it as an everyday activity. It is very simple. Right now, I'll be playing a sound, a tune of the Tibetan bell. If you would have seen a Tibetan bowl and there's a thing that spirals around and creates that sound, that vibration of that sound is very Tibetan bell is where the mindfulness practice had initially begun, the Zen practice. The psychologist John Kabat-Zinn had visited that place, and he discovered more of mindfulness as a technique to be used. And he,
Yeah, it was like a very pleasant ripple moving all over the, especially my chest and my arms.
yeah,
I felt, yeah.
It's more like the energy liberating from your body,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So yeah, so sorry for those who couldn't hear it. So this is the mindfulness Tibetan bell, which is to do with bringing calmness in your body with a sound or vibration. In our culture, the vibration is similar to the vibration which we get from chanting Om, right? So if somebody who is in spirituality, like Shushma ma'am, they, when they actually chant the Om, they feel similar vibration as how this Buddhist concept of Tibetan bell helps. Okay. So the idea is actually to create an intention to adapt mindfulness as a lifestyle. So when you create your intention that you want to adapt it, you also bring a lot of attention to your body and develop an attitude and cultivate the habit of being mindful around yourself, resonating more of that mindful presence when you're around people or when you're around yourself. Now, yes, it sounds a little easier said than done, but like I said, mindfulness is a concept that has 99% of just practice, practice, and practice until it cultivates into a habit, and just 1% of theory. So mindfulness can be used in every walk of your life, in everything that you do. Now, if you see this picture, mindful walking, this is a kind of concept that tries to say that if you are going out or if you are meeting people, be more aware of what is around you rather than being in your thoughts or in your mind, rather than being preoccupied with, oh, where am I going, what am I going to do, or what had happened when I left home or work. When you're traveling, try to make a conscious effort to focus on what is around you, right? So especially driving, because we've taken driving as a very autopilot activity now, because we're very good at driving and we're just going the same route every day. Bring more focus into seeing the surroundings of your driving, and trust me that just noticing things around you will feel very good, and it'll feel like you're learning a lot more about the same route every single day. Yeah. So mindful walking is just that when you are walking, have a more positive face, listen to the nature sound, interact with people, even through the eyes if you can. Okay. Another concept is mindful eating. Now, mindful eating, if a few of you would have seen these mindfulness videos, they talk about this race in meditation. Now, the similar thing you can do with your routine eating. So when you're actually sitting on your dining table having your food, how much are you paying attention to the food? Are you actually involved in a digital thing, or are you watching TV, or are you using your phone, or are you actually having your focus, your presence on the current activity? When you are eating, what you got to do first is activate all the five senses which you have. First, look at the food and smell the food, and then you feel the texture of what you're eating, and then you put it in your mouth and feel the taste or the texture around the mouth. It is not going to take a lot of time. Say suppose you've been eating for 10 minutes, it'll take maximum 10 to 15 minutes more, but it's through practice you'll be able to eat faster, with more mindfulness, with more focus on what you're eating. So I'd like you guys to try this tonight for dinner and share it on the group what you feel. Okay, mindful working. The way I bring this when I'm working, doing some chores, is by just playing some music in the background. It could be soothing music, it could be rock music, anything that my mood is at that time. But it helps me to focus only on my activity and not on the thoughts that I have about the past or the future. Okay. Mindful sleeping is also possible, especially just before we sleep. We have a lot of thoughts in our head that need to declutter, but sometimes we're not able to. I'll be teaching you another exercise after this, which you could try as a practice just before you sleep, to bring back your focus in the present, in the current situation, in the here and now, so that you have a fresh morning and a fresh start the next day. Okay. The technique is called body scan meditation. I'm sure all of y'all would have tried this out in your therapy with your clients, with yourself. And it seems like a very casual exercise just for 5 minutes, but it is one concept that we need to put in our lives in every single day. Just a minute, I have somebody on the chat. Okay, right. Okay, so I want you all to sit comfortably on your chairs or on your sofa or your couch. Just be comfortable. Put your legs on the ground. Put your hands on the thighs. Okay, I'm not going to be doing the exercise with you because I'm feeling a little unwell. I have a stomach upset today, but I will be instructing you to do this exercise, and I want you all to follow the exercise. It will take about 5 minutes. Okay, please close your eyes. You can adjust yourselves. Sit more comfortably. Place your hands wherever you feel is more comfortable. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. Bring the focus on your head, your forehead, the back of your head, the top of your head. Keep focusing on the head. Focusing on the muscles surrounding your head. Notice how the blood flows. If there's any tightness, release the tightness. Keep breathing. Let go of all the worries, of all the stress. Just relax. And slowly bring your focus to your face, your facial muscles, eyes, nose, cheeks, chin, ears. Release the tension on the face. Relax. Relax. Feel the calmness. Bring your focus to your neck, the neck muscles surrounding your neck. If there's any tightness, let go of the tightness. Release the muscle tension. Relax your neck. You can adjust if you have to. Relax. Now bring the focus on your shoulders. Notice how tight your shoulders are. Release the tension. Relax the muscles. Relax. Relax. And bring your focus on your hands, your arms, your forearms, your fingers, the palm. Notice how the blood flows from the top of your hand to the fingers. Relax your hands. Release all the tension and the tightness. Keep breathing, keep focusing on your breath as well. Take a deep breath, inhale and exhale. Bring the focus on your chest, the muscles around your chest. Relax your chest. Release the tension. Take your focus to the back muscles, your spinal cord. Release the tightness. Relax. Relax. Bring your focus to your pelvic area, your hip muscles, your thighs, your calf muscles, your feet, the sole of the feet, the toes. Notice how the blood flows from the pelvic till the feet. Release the tension in the muscles. Let the body feel at ease. Relax. Relax. Relax your body from the top of your head till the feet. Let go of all the worries, of all the tension. Feel the calmness in your body. Slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes. Think of this exercise as giving back something to yourselves rather than taking away something from you. When we deal with clients in therapy, we often just focus on how we can make them better or how we can help them better. Sometimes we have to do the same to us. This exercise will help you feel more calm, more at ease, and bring your focus to the present. There's a curve where stress is on one end and calm is on one end. And in between is the resilient self, the resilient zone. So either when we're too stressed, we are not at our best, our mind is not at our best, or when we're too calm, we are not doing what we need to do. We have to bring ourselves to the resilient zone where we can be more flexible and more adaptable to the situation that we experience in life. So mindfulness is a concept that will bring you to that resilient zone. Now, this is an exercise that we often fail to do, that is showing gratitude and acknowledgement to ourselves. As therapists, we have done a lot more than the other humans do. I remember Emma ma'am would just say that we as humans are a notch above the other humans because of the knowledge we possess about mind and behavior. So while we have that knowledge and we are helping out others, there is always something to be thankful of. And we need to remind ourselves often that we are worth it. We have been doing so much more, giving so much more, and self-care is what we need more often now in your professional and your personal life. So mindfulness concept is a concept, it's a way of living which you can adapt and apply in every walk of your life. Okay, so whenever we experience a burnout or when we experience a fatigue, compassion fatigue, it's important to give ourselves a timeout. Now, timeout is very important in our profession, especially because we are helping others deal with their emotions. So when we have our hands full, it's very difficult to help somebody else. So we do have supervisors, we do try to let go, but it's also important to notice that you cannot always keep relying on others to help you out. And on an everyday basis, I'm saying you can't keep having therapy on an everyday basis. So on an everyday basis, how will you give yourself a timeout? This concept is a way to channelize your emotions and your overwhelming feelings by just practicing to focus in the present, bringing back your mind to focus in what you're doing in the here and now. So when you give yourself a timeout, you're letting go of what is blocking your growth. You're reducing the rumination of the negative thoughts or the negative we hear so much of negativity from our clients that sometimes, even if we're trying to let it go, some part of it stays with us. So when it stays with us, what do? We try to ignore it or just curb it down. Instead, try to practice more of channelizing that thought, that feeling towards, give it away, either to the nature or journal it out. But it's important to practice mindfulness. So when you give yourself a timeout, you have less emotional reactivity, especially in relationships, and you have a cognitive flexibility. So this is a worksheet that I follow, and I will help you understand with an example of what each sector means. This is not mine. This has been taken from the place where I have done my training. So the copyrights to Aarti Selvan. She is from Pause for Perspective from Pune. I will mention it before I send the PPT to all of you. So what was the experience? So this is a worksheet that you can practice on an everyday basis by first writing what was your experience. So this is an example of what I felt. So I had a very resistant client who would just not think it's their fault. He just wanted to change the other person, and he wanted to know how he could change the other person. So in therapy, I tried a lot to bring him to focus that it is his behavior that is causing friction from the other person. But he was very resistant to accept that. So it was like about 4 sessions and I could not do anything. So were you aware of the pleasant feelings when the event was happening? So when the first session went, I thought, okay, I need a couple of sessions more to build the rapport. The second session happened, the third session happened, but I was still feeling stuck. So after every session, I felt stuck, I felt helpless, I felt guilty that I was not able to help this person. How did my body feel? My body felt tighter, it felt restless, I kind of panicked. What were the moods, feelings, and thoughts accompanying this event? I thought I was inadequate in my skills. Now, it was all that moment, like the fourth session, the third and the fourth session I had, all of these feelings were there at that time. So what were the thoughts in my mind? Now, as I'm writing them down, that when I reflect and look back, I had been taking it on myself to help everyone. But sometimes you can't. There are some people who are so restrictive in opening up or in changing or even accepting that there is something wrong, that I felt guilty for not being able to help someone else. So I had this compassion fatigue for a while. But after the fourth session, I wanted to tell the client that I couldn't take it up, but they stopped it themselves. So I don't know what happened, where they went to next. But reflecting on what I felt about that incident is that I should not take that entire load on myself to be, in the authoritative, zone to help somebody else always. So that's what I learned, and mindfulness helped me realize that I should not be stepping inside somebody's shoes so much that I lose my own credibility. So yeah. You can try this exercise, which will help you understand your difficult experiences better, and it will give you a newer perspective. It will help you rethink on how your experience could be taken by you itself. Okay. Now, what I wanted to bring in next is building vitamins and antibiotics for your mental health. Now, this is a concept which is very interesting. It's just that loving kindness, compassion, resonant joy, and equanimity. These 4 are principles that we need to apply to ourselves every day. We are often so kind to others, and we're so involved in how the other person feels that we forget that there should be a sense of friendliness to ourselves along with having it for others. So how much of a loving and kind person are to yourself? Just imagine you to be your own friend. So if a friend comes and tells you how you feel, if your friend comes and tells you the same, how would you react to them? I want you to try showing the same loving and kindness to yourself. How you would talk to your friend, try talking to yourself, and you would see a lot of difference in your mental health. It works as an antibiotic. Compassion, being with the suffering, that's the distress in ourselves or others. So compassion is one quality that we professionals have it so well when it comes to others. So we're always there helping them out, understanding them, and sometimes we just get into their own journey like it's our own journey. What about our journey? Where is the compassion? Where's the self compassion that we need to show ourselves? So how you would get this compassion is when you try to focus more in the present and not about what happened in your past or what is going to happen in the future. When you bring it to what is there in the present, you will be able to acknowledge that you can be a sufferer too, especially in the COVID time that is there now. We're all vulnerable to the virus equally. So even when we're trying to help others with their distress, we are also going through that distress. So if you need to be, working better, mental health wise, you need to show more compassion to yourself. Resonant joy, sharing in the well-being and good fortune of others. This is also very important. There is this law of attraction. I'm sure all of you would have heard in the book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. When we send out positive vibes to the universe, we receive the positive vibes. Ruchi ma'am has been taking these every morning reading, magical mornings, and she has shared something which was enlightening for me as well, that the more we give, the more we receive. And when we complain, if we have one complaint, we are actually multiplying that into 10 more complaints, and that those you need 10 more blessings for just that one complaint. But when you give out joy, when you share the goodwill and good fortune of others, you will receive it back. So the jealousy and the friction between somebody else feeling more superior or somebody else feeling inferior, that is like attracting that towards ourselves. So resonant joy is sharing the good fortune and well-being of others and receiving it. Now, equanimity and open-handed, open-hearted presence to what is. So, like again in this situation, we are all vulnerable equally to the virus, to the future, the fear of the future. Now, when we share and have an open-hearted approach to everybody around us, is when we experience more of equanimity, and it works more like an antibiotic. The worry is reduced. The kind of negative energy that we were giving out is reduced, and we feel as a whole. Yeah. Okay. So I have actually come towards the end of our my presentation, and if I can have everybody switching on their cameras and sharing a bit of their experience or any questions. I'm going to read the chat too now. Yeah.
Excellent, Manisha. Really excellent. You have put in a lot of work.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very
what are
good.
your takeaways, ma'am?
My takeaway is acknowledging self, and what else? Acknowledgement for self. That was a key point.
Wow.
Very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
And giving self a time out.
Yeah.
Yes. That was something. And body scan meditation I have been doing. It is very, very helpful and very relaxing.
Yeah.
And today you guided, so it felt really good. Somebody else guiding it. You did it well.
Thank you.
This bell ringing, I have a question. Can I ask a question now?
Sure, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah. This bell ringing, is it that the bowl which you just like bang onto it, or do you swirl around?
It's a swirling around. So there's a bowl, the Tibetan bowl. I
Right.
I, I usually use it when there's a session, but the bowl is there, and there is a kind of a rod that you move it, like you bang, and then you move it around the
Yeah.
bell. So that vibration is actually much more fruitful than what we hear online, because I have been experiencing it and I've been using it quite often. Unfortunately, this time I had left it somewhere else and I've not carried it with me. So just that vibration that the bell gives out, it's like it resonates. So it's not just
Yes.
stops with one wave, it's like one and it keeps multiplying. So
Yes.
it gives a lot of calmness.
Yeah, it does. I've done that, but I was not sure whether it is the swirling or is it the knocking on it, because that also leaves a resonation. I mean, it creates a resonance.
Yes.
So
This one has the bang as well as the swirl together.
All
So
together.
it keeps resonating.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am,
you.
for sharing.
Thank you.
I was also thinking that we should have this every month where we as a family could be vulnerable with each other. We could talk about our feelings and let go of a lot of things, feel more like a family. So I would like somebody else to do it next month, and I want to be a participant this time.
Do the same thing?
No, something else, ma'am. Something that you feel you practice or do, or you want to talk about. It could be like how Emma ma'am used to do, is have a case study or have the verbatims, and so
Yes,
it felt like, wow, you could share so much of experience and exchange ways of dealing with things. So it'll
Yeah,
help.
maybe like our verbatim dealing with the case.
Else do it for you live. That's really I think it's a blessing, because I always use pre-scripted texts or audios. So to do it in a live session in a particular context, like all of us have something in common. We're all in the area of mental health, working in some way or the other. So to do it in this particular context, it sort of helps you feel held within this space. And I think that was something very special for me today. So thank you so much for doing it for us. And yeah, the benefits, like I teach positive psychology, so like I'm always like researching on the evidence for all these practices, self compassion, mindfulness, and all these practices, and it's just so much. So and as you said, you can never get too much of it.
Yes.
So yeah, so thank you so much. And definitely, I think someone left a note before they left the meet. I think it's Sharmishta ma'am. So she said that your voice is very sweet, and that was definitely true. So you're very gifted with a soothing voice to sort of facilitate these kind of sessions. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I really want all of us to be giving in something in the group. I've been craving for a group that feels like a therapist family. So it's not always supervision that helps. It was also when you share similar experience and get out of that discomfort of the weak mind, which I was sharing with you all. And so I think this is a good start. We should do this more often. What say, Malti ma'am? We should have one every month.
Definitely, definitely. I'm glad we've made a beginning.
Yeah, I'm
And
So
I think this lockdown is helping us to do this, definitely. So we will continue to do this because lockdown is going to be there with us for some more time, definitely. We never know when we're going to reopen. So I think we should definitely go ahead with doing all these things. As you suggested, yes, definitely case studies, verbatims, whatever we are doing, I think we need to discuss so that we'll get more ideas, different perspectives to what we are doing, maybe even different therapy modes we can learn here. Different interventions we can learn from each other here.
Definitely.
So from my end, actually, it is the visual representations what you put were pretty good. I mean, it's because I'm more of a visual learner. Believe in pictures that speak thousand words. So though I attended couple of mindfulness workshops before, this is totally different because each perspective is totally different and interesting. And every time I attend, it's a different perspective. It's a learning at every stage. And mindfulness is such a challenging topic, and I just couldn't I didn't feel it's a Zoom. It's just like as though real. I didn't feel it that virtual, so you made it so wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Like all of you are giving such good feedbacks. I'm just a bit, I know it wasn't that good, but
Okay, can I give my feedback?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, it was a lovely session, Manisha, definitely. For a change, when I came in to the session, I know I was late. I'm sorry about that. I just finished a counseling session and I came. So all those questions that you were asking me, I was reflecting on myself as to between sessions, how I help myself. So when I sat here for a change, I thought of myself as a client, not as a therapist. So I literally absorbed everything like a client and practice, everything you said, I did practice on myself. So I totally feel very rejuvenated today after the session, especially the body scan session. Yes, I loved it. I really loved it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And when we're talking about case study discussion and next month, already my case study is ready. I know what to press in. So
wonderful. When's the date? I'm just like
very
already
interesting
excited.
one. Very interesting one. This client is the one I met yesterday, or maybe met through Zoom, whatever. Yesterday, I think I'm already prepared for it. So whenever we are ready, we can have it next.
We should have it a little sooner then. Let's say the next weekend. However, everybody's.
I thought you said once a month. I'm ready. I'm ready because normally I jot down everything. Now, when anything my clients, once it's done, I jot down the case study here. I'm ready with it. So,
wow.
Anytime. I think all of us can start doing this. More than thinking of what to give. No, let's just discuss case studies. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lovely meeting you all. Lovely meeting you all.
Manisha?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure,
because
sure.
Like I listened to Jiddu Krishnamurti, if some of you would have known him. So how I have understood mindfulness is he always talks about observing and the observer. So the observer is the past. Observing is the present. And observed is the future.
Okay.
So this observing is nothing about being mindful and noticing. That is what I feel. So this observer has already the ideas and already thoughts. He is the experienced person. So whenever we are observing and noticing, these two, the observer and the observed, both of them, they come and they actually not let us observe.
The present.
So the experiencer, the experiencer, the knowledge, everything that we have, the concepts, ideas. So being mindful is nothing but noticing, observing, and being in the present. Because for my client, I always do this. I bring my hand and do this. So whenever they talk, hello?
Yeah.
Whenever they talk a sentence about any thought, so is it the present? I mean, is it the future or the hello?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me? Yeah, there is a disturbance here. So every thought will be either the future or it will be the past. So whenever they talk, I'll take the hand along with it while they're talking. So they ultimately know that they're talking whatever that has
About the
happened. Yeah, the past. So
Mhm.
so I'll make them understand to put their hand on the lap.
Nice.
That's when they are in the now, and that's where they accept. So what I do is acceptance and commitment therapy. That's accepting whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Values and observing.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Nice, ma'am. It's a very interesting thing to note. The
Yeah.
hand gesture, especially what you said,
Uh,
does help.
yeah, because acceptance, there is a lot of use for metaphors. So all metaphors, most of it I create. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Lakshman sir, Sadhna ma'am.
Manisha,
Ma'am.
how do you do the mindful sleeping? Like, what is it that you do? You do the body scan at that time?
Yes, ma'am. Just before the sleep time, let's say when you're on the bed, the first thing we all need to do is put away our phones and not have the bed as a space where we use the phone. Probably
Yeah.
sit somewhere else, use your phone, everything, and then leave the phone somewhere else, come back to the bed. And when you're laying down, just close your eyes and do this body scan, because you need to let go of whatever thoughts that have been in your mind through the day, and
Mhm.
then get the good relaxed sleep, because it refreshes your mornings too.
I see. Right. And what are the five senses?
Uh,
Taste.
yeah, sight, smell, hear, touch, and taste. These five.
Say again, please.
The sight, eyesight, smell, hearing, touching, and tasting. So
Okay.
mindful eating helps activate all of these five together.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you, ma'am. Judith, ma'am, you wanted to speak.
Right. Thanks, Manisha. What I want to say was it's been a pretty exhausting week. Like, we have our classes starting tomorrow. Officially, our colleges, we're starting a semester online. So we've been doing a lot of things and setting up the official IDs and so. So it's like even I dream of my vice principal. Actually, I see them in my dream. So that's how bad it's been. So when we actually did the body scan meditation, I think in this entire week, that's like the only 2-3 minutes that I actually relaxed, and I was like, I wasn't thinking anything else. Because even when you started off the session, I was still getting messages and there's something else going on. And then I hear you talking about okay, I was like, oh, this is something, yeah, I briefly know, so I look at my message. And then when you did the body scan meditation, I was like, okay, let me just put everything away and just sit and listen and do it. I truly relaxed, like only those few minutes, I knew I was not thinking of anything else. I was completely focused. So, I really thank you for that. And I probably do that, like, a little more on a daily basis. And,
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of this body scan meditation, that when we do it, we just feel so much. It's so simple, actually. It's not much of instruction. It's very simple. It's just noticing each part of your body and releasing that tension. And that is one thing that we have all neglected all our lives. We've never really paid attention to our body or our mind unless we are like very sick or very ill. So putting this a practice every day is a great idea, Judith. If it has helped you so much, especially because you have a very busy schedule.
Like, okay, I'm like, only when you ask me to actually open the eyes, and I'm like, okay, wow. So, like, no, I really wasn't thinking anything. So that felt really good. Like, because, like, even you give me an extra minute, I'm like, okay, fine, this. Okay, after the session gets over, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then I'm like, okay, this is actually good. And I think I really needed that. Even if it was, like, for a short time. So I really thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful session. Really enjoyed it. I have a habit of every day I'm starting the day with a positive quote. Recently, I read something like if you have to be aware, like you just imagine that you are living with a snake in a room, then you will be continuously watching what kind of action is doing, what kind of sound is making, everything you will be watching. So you'll be more aware of that. I am practicing that in tennis also. These past 2 months I'm practicing that kind of thing, because you have to be aware of what your opponent is doing, what they are going to do. uh, I read somewhere else also that there will be a clue that opponent is giving you, that he's going to do this thing. If you are sharp enough, if you pick up the clue, then it's easy to play against those players. So I was keep on practicing that also. In sport generally we use the jackups and deep muscle relaxation. It takes more than 20 minutes, like that. So this body scan, I heard, but I never practiced this one. It's very interesting. Thank you for.
Wonderful, sir. I think you can incorporate this body scan with your normal routine exercising.
Yeah, definitely I do. And one more thing you asked me, like between the sessions, right? I usually previously I don't write this AE1 and AE2 and all. Nowadays I started taking a point, like what is a client is talking, like that. And my mom used to tell that connecting the islands is biggest challenge, right?
Yeah.
So after finishing the session, I just go through quickly, like whether I did something okay or not, like that. Oh, after the session, so it won't take me to the next session also. So I will stop that session there itself. So then I retake water, then I go for the next session. So it's really working for me.
Yes. Those breaks are very important. Thank you for sharing that, Lakshmi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Sadhna ma'am. I think your screen is shut. It's stuck. Sudha ma'am? You spoke. Uma ma'am, you want to say something? I'd like to say that thank you for being very participative and giving me this opportunity. Sadhna ma'am, you're unmute now. I think we can hear you.